And welcome back to another developer discussion in Downbelow. My name is Steve.
I'm Ian. Today we're going to tell you, in our role-playing game, how you get illegal stuff to your characters, how the system interacts with that.
Indeed, we talked a bit yesterday about, we actually talked a lot yesterday about some illegal stuff and why it's illegal. Today we're going to talk about, let's represent that systematically. So take it away, Ian.
So, what we mean by it is hard to get this stuff is this should be a challenge, this should be a system interaction.
In a lot of games, it is shopping trips or something best handled off screen, unless there is something storyline appropriate. Here, we want to emphasize what is important to the story by giving it some system time.
So one of the important system interactions is that you should need to spend a success to get illegal or rare items.
In general, we don't track stuff like credit balance and money. If it's important to have a specific amount for a bribe on hand, sure, that's great. But otherwise, it is assumed that for general monetary means, or general economic means, honestly, the player characters will spend successes to get what it is they want, and the money will take care of itself.
Because the difficult thing is not necessarily having the money. If the difficult thing is having the money, then either you're going to need to spend a success to get that money, and then you just make the purchase because having the money you made the purchase.
Or you're going to need to have a trait such as has money, in other words, spending a success to make the purchase.
So you might either have the money in your inventory because you previously acquired a buttload of money that you normally wouldn't have as a member of the Downbelow Society, as we talked about 2 days ago, or it'll be a special trait on your character sheet that you're actually rich, but you still, for some reason, have these problems that keep you down below. So, the idea in general is that any kind of rare or difficult to obtain because of legality item, you are going to have to make a success happen with one of your traits that makes sense in the situation, whether it be getting the money for it, finding the person who can get it for you, avoiding the scrutiny of the law in getting it.
Multiples of the above.
If it's a really difficult to get thing, it's going to be multiples of the above.
If you plan on driving a tank down Main Street, that's an adventure in and of itself.
Yeah. So, that's one side of it. And if you fail at any of these steps, it doesn't necessarily mean you can't ever get the thing. It means that the story unfolds based on that failure. So let's say you fail at the find the person who knows where the thing is. You've found a fence who doesn't know how to get this thing, and maybe they lie to you about whether they can get this thing and ask you for a favor, and then they end up owing you big because they can't actually get you what you wanted, but you got them what they wanted.
GMs, this is not us saying either throw your players a bone and let them always have the thing available with delays. Sometimes the thing is not available. In the aforementioned tank example, maybe there's just not a tank to drive down Main Street. That doesn't mean the story stops. That means that the players are faced with the fact that the thing they want is not there, but that doesn't have to stop someone cold. There are plenty of leads that one can do, even if it's as simple as saying, hey guys, this tank idea is stupid. It's so stupid that there are no tanks here. If you want to pursue it, you can pursue it, but you're doomed to failure there. Here are the interesting people you will meet and interact with on your doomed quest, and each of them will have possible plot hooks and possible ways to pull you deeper into the story.
A useful aphorism for GMs is there are no dead ends, there are T intersections.
Yep.
You have come to a dead end going the direction that you thought you wanted to go, but you can go in these forking paths that the actions that led you to this point provide.
The junk dealer doesn't have a plasma cannon. The junk dealer does have a vintage wrecked Thunderbird.
The junk dealer does have things that you could make improvised explosives with, or the possibility that you might be able to cobble together an old gun out of his junk.
Which, again, asks the players, what do you really want out of this shopping trip?
Did you really want to be able to get into this secured facility by burning your way through the wall? You might still be able to cobble together a homemade explosive to do that. You just can't have a plasma gun that does it because the junk dealer doesn't have those.
Yep.
Did you want a weapon to use in your battle upcoming when you storm the Russian mob hideout to get the girl back?
The junk dealer might have that. He just won't have the plasma cannon.
Whether or not the girl is actually there, or actually wants to be rescued from the Russians, that's, well, another question for another time. So, the point of saying this is that you're going to go through these series of challenges and making it part of your story.
Yep.
So, the next interaction level of these things is that these things that require you to spend successes on important difficulties that make the story interesting, that are between you and your goal of having this cool thing, this stuff that you get, that is the kind of thing that when we mention stuff that goes in the inventory part of your character sheet that you can use as the right tool for the right job if a situation comes up for it, this is that kind of thing. And these are the kind of things that, if a general situation where it could apply comes up, the fact that you had to work so hard to get it pretty much speaks to, yeah, this is a tool that will be more useful than just whatever happened to be on hand.
In a way, you can kind of think of this as spending successes to bank traits. You're spending the successes now to bank up a right tool for the right job later.
Mm-hmm. So you don't have to be especially creative later because you put in the effort earlier.
Finally, it's important to note that many shopping trips in Downbelow aren't going to be as simple as, oh, I found the guy, let me hand him money. The Downbelow favor economy works in such a way that while money on some level is responsible to get the stuff into the system, once the stuff is in the system, it's largely traded around on favors and usefulness. So a simple shopping trip, once you've found something, can turn into a story of itself. Okay, to get this, I need you to go down and send a message to Bei Ling on the corner because he's muscling on my territory. Bei Ling says, I'll stop muscling on the territory if you're able to kick so-and-so out of the territory. So-and-so says, I won't leave unless you can successfully stage a takeover at the Golden Saucer Casino. The Golden Saucer says, you're not going to get me kicked out of here. This is the most profitable spot. And all of this to get a set of lockpicks.
So the entire story can start because the players want to acquire something that's difficult to obtain, and they have to go into this cycle of whatever you decide the favors that they need to do to get that thing lead them into deeper and deeper into this story.
While we laugh at such contrivances in console RPGs because they just get ridiculous after a while, in a role-playing game it's a little different because the players at any stage have the option of saying, no, I'm going to try something different instead.
But then, if they decide that they don't want to do that favor for the last person, then they have to deal with that person coming back and saying, why aren't you doing this thing for me?
Or even if they try to if they try to fill the favor in some other way, things unfold naturally as opposed to in some contrived yes or no binary, do this arbitrary thing, this ridiculous thing, or everything is failed.
So, I hope that gives you some insight into how difficult to obtain, usually because it's illegal rather than just because it's expensive, although sometimes because it's simply rare and hard to find, stuff plays into the system of our RPG. Thanks again for taking the time to listen and watch us, and we hope you'll continue to fall through the cracks with us tomorrow.